William Shakespeare versus the United States government. Your Honor and ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I represent the case for William Shakespeare versus the United States government. Shakespeare wrote during the aristocratic age of literature. His audience was living under aristocracy. His words bit hard and penetrated the depth and deception of the aristocratic mindset. On the other side of the ocean, however, the vision of the founding fathers of the United States was to escape aristocracy by making a valiant attempt at democracy. However noble their motives and efforts, democracy failed miserably at the advent of the Spanish-American War, when America began an imperial overstretch and went from a democracy to an empire. It was then that the American aristocracy was born. This has set the stage for the great drama of William Shakespeare versus the United States government. Today, I will make the case, once and for all, that the American experiment has ended in ruins as we all gasp for air in the fallout, and what we as citizens can do about it. There have been imperial politicians that exemplify dynasties such as the Roosevelts, the Kennedys, the Bushes, the Clintons, just to name a few, have all the hubris of King Lear and their great need not only to be loved, but also that love should be expressed vocally. When Cordelia refused, she was exiled. Those who gave in to Lear's insecurities were rewarded. Even though the character fool in the play warned the king of such folly, Lear ignored him and went right on. The socio-political dynastic narcissism that has ruled American peasants for far too long, shredding the Bill of Rights, cloaking itself in the American flag, and controlling the masses through the demagoguery, cannot say like Richard II, "Let us sit on the ground and tell stories of the death of kings." No, it cannot. Because our nation's capital is ground zero, where the kings of America rule. I offer this, if it pleases the court, as Exhibit A. Does this mean that all of Shakespeare's kings were bad? On the contrary. As a matter of fact, in the play All's Well That Ends Well, Act 2, Scene 3, the few and perilous are lamenting the great vacuum that a righteous king can provide, as shown in the perfectionist movement led by John Humphrey Noyes in the 19th century in America, as he adopted Plato's Republic as a working model for fair and orderly rural living. What replaces the philosopher king, as LeFou so eloquently states, is counterfeit philosophers who say that the time of miracles is past. They preach seeming knowledge and make trifles of terrors. I ask you, is this no different than a power grab of the United States government? Parading as a naturalistic, populistic uprising, as seen in Frank Capra's dark masterpiece, Meet John Doe? I don't think so. It seems that even the most sincere citizen movements, ensconced in Emersonian self-reliance, cannot escape that overwhelming aristocratic impulse, and therefore, alack and alas, as we have seen, get eventually swallowed up and co-opted by the two-party dynastic apparatchik. If it please the court, I offer this as Exhibit B. Hamlet's play within a play is no overstretch in comparison when it comes to the world within the world of today's United States government. No, sir. Most of the Americans see only the play, the cosmetic government, parading in the land of beautiful smiles, false promises, and pseudo-debates. However, as Gore Vidal so astutely observed, few have actually seen the real government in action. But it is this real government in action that is the play within the play. Even with the tsunami of today's recent undeniable revelations of NSA surveillance by Edward Snowden, who, by the way, is today's Hamlet, most either turn away in apathy or demonize the Prince of Denmark. The trouble is, and this is the trouble with being a whistleblower, this is the trouble with being Hamlet. If it please the court, I offer this as Exhibit C. Now, we are faced with a very important question, and that is this. Should we be like Falstaff, just waiting around to hear the chimes at midnight? Or can we, in our relentless, consistent volunteerism, apart from government, actually become those chimes? It is my conviction that we can become those chimes by ceasing once and for all, ladies and gentlemen, once and for all. We must cease and desist to trust our government and its rigged elections and act on our own to serve our fellow citizens less fortunate than we, making much to do about something. Meanwhile, swirling all around us is more of the same charade of dynastic chicanery moving in a never-ending fast-track cycle where the grinding devolution of the democratic dream is expressed in Macbeth selling out of his soul in his famous soliloquy, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. Life, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Nothing. Oh, that loud, empty, barking carnival of dynastic American politics. For shame. And right on time, here it comes again, a big, fat nothing. So in conclusion, Your Honor, and ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the American empire will collapse like all other empires do. But in the meanwhile, we the peasants, we the people, we the volunteers, without government, will press on as long as there is breath in our bodies, provoking the sun in its jealous sky to shine on the neediest of us all. For it is from our giving, as the great bard Shakespeare says, we will be the very hand of heaven. Case closed.